before we can get started on our first drawing project, we got to talk about supplies. And afterwards, we'll create a value scale. But today we're going to be looking at our drawing materials and we're going to talk about how to use them. First up in your art kit is your ebony pencil. It looks something like this. Most likely the one that you have is currently unsharpened. So it has a blunt tip. Once you sharpen it, it'll look something like this. This is one that I have at home that I've used many times, so like the white parts of the text I've kind of covered over. That'll happen over time. That's okay. This pencil is a little different than a normal pencil. If you look on it, you'll see that it says Jet Black, extra smooth. This is because this pencil is a little different than normal pencils. The lead within it is very dark. You can get a wide range of values by using these pencils. So you may ask, what is an ebony pencil used for? They are used for sketching and drawing. And like I mentioned before, you'll use it to get values within your artwork. Normal pencils can only get so dark to the point where they no longer add pigment onto the paper. But you can build a lot of pigment on the paper, so you can build a lot of black on a paper using an ebony pencil. Okay. One thing about ebony pencils is that normally you should use handheld sharpeners. So something that looks like this, or the one rectangle sharpener that you got in your general school supply kit. That one works too. But we're not going to be using those mechanical sharpeners or the electrical sharpeners that are in the art classroom right now. We're going to be using handheld sharpeners to sharpen our ebony pencils. The reason is because those electric sharpeners could chew up these pencils and it kind of wastes them. So we want to get the most out of our art supplies. We're going to use handheld sharpeners. Next up is our blending stump. Here's some examples of blending stumps. These are the ones that I have at home. I've used them many times, so they're kind of dirty. And over time, this will happen to your art supplies. It's okay. Whoever said art was a clean subject. So, blending stumps are used to blend out lead or pigments on a paper. This tool is made out of tightly compressed paper. So if you look really closely at it, there are some fibers within it. Make sure not to get this tool wet because it may expand and you won't be able to use it after that. So, since this is made out of finely compressed fibers, that means that you can use it to blend on paper. Normally, blending stumps are used to blend out pigment on paper, and the reason why we use this is because paper has a grit to it normally. It could be that a paper that has a smooth grit or a rough grit, and that means there's a texture to the paper once you feel it. Depending on the type of paper you're using, you may need to use one of these blending stumps. Sometimes when you're drawing, you can't get into the dips or the indents of the paper. So you can use a blending stump to get into those grooves and blend out your pigment that you just drawed in. So you can use a blending stump to fill in those grooves of the paper and those white gaps. They are an amazing tool. I've used mine with charcoal, pencil lead, ebony pencils, chalk, all that kind of stuff. But for this project, we'll be using it with our ebony pencils. So let's talk about our last supply that we're going to be using for this unit. We're going to be using a kneaded eraser. Yours may be a different brand, it's okay. Lots of kneaded erasers are the same. It should have came in this rectangle shape. It's gray. Once you unpackage it, it'll look something like this. Okay, so kneaded erasers are erasers that you're able to mold. See how I'm squishing it? They're pretty fun. I know lots of y'all were excited about it, so you already opened it up. You can shape these into a point, or you can make them into a blob, depending on your needs. Kneaded eraser. Kind of goes together. Maybe you want to get into a tiny part of your paper, but a normal eraser is too large. You can take it and shape it into a point. And then you can get inside of the places where you need to erase, take pigment off of the paper, and add some details into your drawing. So you can shape it into a blob or a point. When your kneaded eraser gets dirty, simply pull it apart, fold it over, stretch it, and that should make it clean once again. But I will tell you guys, sadly, kneaded erasers do have life expectancies. For example, if you look closely at these two erasers, one is black while the other is gray. And that's because this eraser right here that's black has died. So, kneaded erasers have life expectancies. And you'll know when it's dead, when it became too hard to mold. See how I'm really trying to press into it. It doesn't want to shape that much. Also, you'll know whenever you try and put it on a paper and it accidentally smudges your drawing instead of picking off pigment or blending your pigment. At this point, you know that it has died and you gotta throw it away. If you're not sure, come ask me and I'll let you know. But during this semester, you probably won't get to the point of no return with your kneaded eraser. So don't worry about that. Just know that kneaded erasers can die. I'll show the comparison again. There's a light gray one and this black one. The reason why it could have gotten like this is because maybe you used it with charcoal, or you just, in general, use it a lot.